Hey everyone, welcome back to a very cold Chicago day. The sun is setting, and you know what? I want to do a retrospective look at my 2025 and 2024 SL7 Tarmac Sport Crit bike with upgraded wheels. I got this bike a few years ago. I've put many miles on it. I've traveled with it. It's been to San Diego, many crit races. In fact, well over 50 crit races. And I kind of want to look back at what the Tarmac SL7 is, what it did for the bike industry. Got some notes here, and you know, my review and experiences with it, and kind of my plan going forward. So let's start with this bike. Originally $3,000. Got a wheel set from my buddy, the Tarmac stock wheels, the CL2s, not the CLXs, and all in, you know, a pretty sizable amount of money. This bike weighs 18.4 pounds, 8.7 kilos as you sit. It has upgraded Bontrager 38C bars. It has a Insta 360 front mount. It has a Bontrager Aeolus Pro saddle that came on my original Madone. We have Pirelli P0 RS tires, tubeless in 32 millimeter. We have a carbon fiber black cage, Bontrager as well, Shimano Ultegra extra wide pedals. And so here's how the bike sits. So what is the Tarmac SL7? As a helicopter goes right over. What is the Tarmac SL7? Well, the Tarmac SL7 is the one bike to rule them all. This was the combination of the Tarmac SL6, a very successful race bike under the powerful legs of Peter Sagan, as well as the Tarmac Venge. This bike killed two and basically rewrote the rules on what a bicycle can be when it comes to racing. So this is the all-encompassing one bike to rule them all race bike, and almost, I would say, invented the category. Now, this bike, according to Tour magazine, should be about 3 watts slower than the Venge, and Tarmac Specialized agrees. They said it was 2.5 watts slower than the Venge. This bike can come at 6.8 kilograms with a full red build from the factory, which is insane, in the S-Works variant. So that's what pros are riding. My bike, as I said, weighs 18.4 pounds. So, you know, 1.5 pounds more, mostly because obviously there's a lot cheaper components on this, and we'll come to that soon. When this bike came out, it had integrated components, an integrated bar and stem, super, you know, kind of leading the way in that regard. It ushered in the new wheels. You know, before this, this bike originally, when it was first launched in 2020, came with tubed wheels and only tube wheels. I don't think you could make them. You could make them tubeless, but that's not how they came. And it has a 32 millimeter tire clearance, ahead of its time. On this channel, we've proven that you can run 35 millimeter tires, no worries. I would say conservatively, this is a 34 Wedgert Azimuth Wham tire bicycle. In 2021, it had a recall of the compression ring on the fork, and that's pretty much it. It came in Fact 10R and Fact 12R carbon, 12R for the S-Works, and also this bike came in the Fact 9R, which is what this frame is. It's a lower grade of carbon, more impact resistant. So let me tell you a little bit about my experiences with the Tarmac. It is by and far one of the best bicycles I've ever owned. I've owned dozens of bicycles now. I currently own over 10 bicycles, which is crazy. I have my Tarmac, I have my Madone SLR. I love that bike. It's my road bike, my main training bike. And that bike's a better bike. Every single way it's better. But, big but, for racing and everyone else, and if I were to go back and buy one bike, I would probably just buy a pure SL7 or an SL8. The geometry is spectacular. I have ridden this bike in crits. I've gone down mountains at over 50 miles an hour. It has survived 2 crashes. One was my fault, one was not. And it's just been a spectacular build. I really like its handling. It's aggressive and quick, but balanced compared to my Madone, which is much more twitchy, much more of a sprinter machine. This thing is much safer than that. Great for descending mountains. I think Specialized has the best geometry in the business, and I think everyone should copy it. Compared to a Cannondale I rode, the Cannondale was gross. It felt slow. It was unpleasant. It felt like I was on like a gravel bike. It was so slow in steering, whereas the Tarmac nails it. Some of the upgrades, like I said, the seat. I did do extended. This comes as a 110. This is a 120 stem. You know, the bars. But I've had this bike now a few years, thousands of miles, and so what is my plan? What is my plan? Well, I'm going to keep this frame. I think this is, you know, the frame technology hasn't changed in the last few years. I still think weight's not that important for crit racing, especially in the frame. I'd rather have strength, which this frame has proven to have plenty. And but we're going to upgrade all the components, and that build is coming. But the Tarmac, I think, is also one of the best buys in 2026, the year the year we're currently in, which is crazy to say. It's around here. You can still buy this bike as a sport frame, and I don't recommend buying that. I think that's overpriced. There's much better frames on the market from the Chinese market. But what I think you should do is buy this frame used. I think this is one of the best frames you can buy. It's extraordinarily comfortable. They all come with the S-Works seat post, which is amazing. Super comfortable. They all have wide tire clearance, 32 millimeter tires, 34 measured as width, and it's still very aero. It scored 210 watts on Tour magazine with the integrated bars. The stock sport bike, the 105 mechanical with the stock wheels, measures at like, I think it's like 229, 220, somewhere in that range. So really high. And so a wheel upgrade, thinner bars, and boom, you've already made up, you know, 15 watts of improvement. So, you know, the SL8, I'd say, is an evolution of this bike. The SL8, you know, it took some of the Athos DNA and basically took all the aerodynamic parts from this area and put it in the front to get the nose sniffer. But everything else pretty much stayed the same. I've ridden SL8, they're fine. They feel exactly like this. They're a little bit more lightweight. But I think getting a, you know, used SL7 frame is probably the smartest, best buy on the market. There's no shenanigans with Chinese geometry, which we've all seen from the Neuro Show and Patrick Leno. The geometry on the Chinese bike sucks. The Tarmac is the perfect geometry. It's the best geometry ever made. Everyone should copy it. And all my bikes I'll ever ride going forward are based for the road compared to this because it's so wonderful. But what do I think of the SL8? SL8's a fantastic bike. I think it's more boring looking. I think this bike looks better. I like the rear triangle, the thicker seat stays. I like the slightly thicker, I like the chunked out aero bikes, obviously. The only thing I could see improved, you know, would be if they increased the front tube section. It's still very thin, but I wish it was just a little bit deeper. And what do I think the SL9 will look like? I think that's a great question. I think the SL9 will be an evolution. I think the SL9 will get rid of, it'll have UDH. It won't get rid of anything. It'll have a UDH. It will have a T47 bottom bracket. You heard it here first. Specialized is going to T47 to be better bearings for dub. I think that'll also increase the bottom bracket stiffness. I think the rear end is going to look exactly the same as the SL8, and I think on the front we'll get slightly deeper forks, and the head tube will be ever so slightly changed as well, and it's going to look a lot like a Factor Ostrovam, which is I think where the SL9 is going to go. And that's my prediction. So in hindsight, this is probably, you know, one of the best bicycles ever made. It's definitely one of the most important bicycles ever made. It's definitely one of the most successful bicycles ever made. It may be a boring choice. It may be the bike that everyone seems to have, but there's a reason for that. It is truly one of just the best bicycles on the road. And if you have one, there's honestly no reason to upgrade to anything else unless you got money to burn and want to see something new. So thanks for stopping by. A build is coming, a new build is coming, and maybe you've seen some of my other video releases soon, or sorry, not soon, but recently, and you might have an idea of what we're going to do with this bike. We're going to make it a pure play crit banger. So stick around for that. Please subscribe. Thanks so much, and have a great day.